Joe Average.
That's what we need, is a Doc McStuffin Joe Average show.
Part 2.
We hope.
I was talking about Supergirl.
Yeah.
I hope she's a brighter character after her experiences. And just from the preview stuff, the elements that are obvious that they're dragging from
National City.
the TV show is, she'll be operating out of National City and not Metropolis. They have Cat Grant on the cover.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. There's Cat Grant's on the cover. And she's working for the DEO. So all of these things from the show, Cat.
Oh, hey.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know who this black gentleman is that he looks...
Jimmy?
Well, but there is a Jimmy Olsen in this world.
Yeah, and he played a pretty prominent
role. And weirdly enough,
but...
in the picture, he looks more like Curtis Holt
Thank you, that's where I was
from
trying
Arrow.
To like Mr. Terrific.
Which would be fine if that's what that was, I guess. To borrow from multiple things. But yeah, I'd like and we were talking about costumes. Her Rebirth costume is 100% the TV show.
Yeah,
the pants included. I didn't see the pants.
Yeah,
she doesn't have that midriff, right? And I feel like that's been her costume for like the past eon.
No, they're still short. She's got long boots and no.
It's long. Well, it's basically the costume.
It is. Yeah, everything except the pants, because that's the one thing I liked about the television show. She's got the long boot pants.
She's not wearing pants. She's got like tights.
Tights,
like
sure. But I mean, her legs are covered.
Yeah, her legs are covered. Yeah.
Well, didn't she always have a midriff too? I feel
not always. That was just.
Well, no, yeah. In
there was
the last few pre-Flashpoint Supergirls did what. The thing with New 52 Supergirl is she wore this like bikini top, or not bikini top, like swimsuit top. And then there was like a Superman shield right in her crotch area.
It was like
which just felt like a yellow triangle pointing to her.
I remember having the discussion.
Why?
It was actually worse than having a skirt. That it was like, here, let's point out.
Yeah. And then like so many artists drew it cut so high too, where it just felt like she's not in there, like.
And there's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Is it? It's a costume I didn't otherwise dislike, but it felt like artists over time drew it less reveal. It's just weird. There's the way the artists were doing it. Yeah. That was it. Like there's things I like about it. I like the shape a lot. Like I like how
I love the boots.
How it
I actually adore the boots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I just don't need this little
accentuating my pelvis
arrow thing there. Just like
they could have just made it.
And yet Rob owns the action figure. What's his?
Well, like I said, it's not. There are things that are nice about it. I like this haircut a lot.
Yeah,
I do too.
Nice haircut.
But yeah,
it's her sister's haircut in the show.
Yeah.
It totally is.
Mhm. So, but I'm much happier with the long skirt and all of that. So I'm hoping
it's very much the feel of pre-crisis Supergirl costume. The way it doesn't have her hair in the headband, but it feels at least similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to a Supergirl that's fun again. We haven't had a fun Supergirl in a long time.
The television show really.
If they could just make it as much like the TV show as possible, I'm all into that.
That would be great, because I think the TV show is awesome.
Yeah, if she could have her own kind of Alex somehow.
Yeah. I feel like
just as long as Kat's always giving her just really feminist speeches about things.
So how do you guys feel about Superhero Lex?
I'm like, the only issues I read were the ones where, like, old Superman was like, no, I don't believe this at all. So I'm like, with him, I'm like, I don't believe this at all. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Well, and you should, I should let you borrow that Justice League issue.
Okay.
If you want to borrow it, go for it.
It sets up, it's him sort of putting himself in the position where he's like, I'm going to be the new Superman of Metropolis.
But what I think is funny is for the last year, in Johns' Justice League, he figured out who Batman was. and was a part of the Justice League. And I don't know.
Yeah, he's already kind of been playing superhero
anyway,
as a Justice League member ever since Forever Evil.
That's right. It was the end of Forever Evil that. So it's not a stretch that he just kind of I'm.
Yeah, it's not a heel turn for him, but it's more him asserting himself. Like the fact that he's like, yeah, I'm wearing the S and I'm putting this cape on. Oh, sure, yeah, he's gonna make Metropolis great again.
I just love, that's why I'm with, like, classic Clark. He's like, nope, I knew it. Let me shave. Bye, son.
Yeah.
I love the way they made him shave, though. I love it. It's like, gotta go get that piece.
Yep.
I just feel like that was such a nice little nod.
I sent Tracy a text right as I read it, because when I saw the picture, I went, I got chills.
So.
Aww.
Well, the homage to probably my favorite time of reading. This. The whole comeback with the mullet.
Oh, yeah.
And Mankey's rendition of the whole fight is so wonderful. It's like, why
they revisit the death of Superman
and do a pretty good job of. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if Dan Jurgens did layouts and Mankey just, did his own style over it.
He probably just had a copy of the trade paperback, or one of the million of copies you can buy in quarter bins all over the world.
Oh boy.
But it's fun to have, like when we were talking about this state Superman has been in when you were upstairs, and how I mentioned I feel like no one really ever, it didn't feel like anybody really ever embraced New 52 Superman the way others have been sort of embraced.
Where it was like nobody really even.
No one seems like they knew how to write him or what to do with him. Like
Morrison established something so cool.
Yeah, he did some great stuff, but it felt like everyone ignored it because either because it was all taking place 5 years before everything else that was going on, and
it was so sad because it was a beautiful origin if you look at the way Morrison wrote it.
Oh, totally it was. Yeah.
And unique, but still Superman.
Yeah, I love all of that, but it just felt like everyone else was just writing him as kind of this snotty, unlikable character.
Yeah, and
I think I kind of traced back to one of the animated movies they did for Justice League. Captain Marvel was in it.
Those are all basically the New 52.
Yeah, there was a scene in there that never really sat right with me, and I feel like kind of sums up the New 52 Superman. It was Batman showed up, and they kind of had a fight, and they kind of came to, like, I don't know, like kind of like a kind of like, they kind of drew even. And then Superman looked under his cowl and said, nice job, Bruce Wayne. I'm like, no. I'm like, Clark would never do that. Clark would never do that to get a one-up on somebody. He would never violate someone's privacy like that. Yeah. It felt like such a shift from all the values. Like, it was like the one moment just kind of like, and I felt like I could see all of the values.
And I think that's consistent with New 52 Superman.
God.
But
No.
I like the John Byrne origin of their first meeting, where Batman said, I don't literally remember what he said, but it was like, I placed a bomb on an innocent person, and if you attack me in any way, shape, or form, this bomb will go off and kill an innocent person. And Superman didn't know Batman well enough to know who he was talking about. Well, Batman isn't going to kill an innocent person. The bomb was on himself. So that he would die himself if he would. So it was kind of like this weird moral
riddle.
Yeah. that they were both kind of, they're feeling each other out, and to this day, and that was like their last. Like, well, you said you were going to kill somebody innocent, and like, well, here's the bomb.
Yeah, that always kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I just.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me then that of all the characters in Rebirth, the outside of maybe even we don't really know the nature of Wally and all that stuff, but like Superman's the only one who's legit. This is the guy from before New 52, before Flashpoint. This is that Superman.
Well, and their argument is that, I shouldn't say argument, they're saying that because of the Speed Force, while he was in the Speed Force, when whatever happened for that Flashpoint, so that's why he wasn't affected, and that he's been...
he's unaffected by whatever Dr. Manhattan or whoever did what they did.
And I do like that they pointed out it's not Barry's fault.
Yeah, that was really nice, because for the longest time, it kind of was the thing of, like, well...
Barry screwed up the world.
Yeah, Flashpoint made the New 50, everything that happened in Flashpoint and everything that happened after that...
And we've discussed, we don't think that was John... The whole thing wasn't John's intention.
No, because it was very clear going into Flashpoint that storyline was not originally intended to be a springboard for something like the New 52, and that just kind of...
And John didn't seem to be touting anything, because when everybody was talking about New 52, John's voice was the quietest, if I recall. You wouldn't, other than him talking about the Justice League.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking about... You were hearing Jim Lee, you were hearing Deodato.
Dito,
thank you. And... But you weren't hearing Jeff Johns, who was the creative consultant that...
Yeah, even though he wrote the flagship book, it was still... It just kind of felt like that was...
I think they tagged it onto his story.
Yeah, because it was very weird.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, because Flashpoint came so quickly on the heels of Brightest Day. And Brightest Day
was... Or his introduction to Flash Rebirth.
Yeah. Johns had set up so many things... Between Flash Rebirth and Brightest Day... Johns was setting up all this new stuff, like and like things that it made no sense that they're things that would not have needed to be set up if they could have the Flashpoint New 52
Firestorm
be able to just snap your fingers and change stuff. Yeah,
something special.
Because in Brightest Day, like one of the big things there was it reintroduced these characters that had been regulated to Vertigo back into DC. So characters like Swamp Thing and John Constantine were now reintroduced back into the DC universe proper, which they haven't been for a while before that. Now, they both featured heavily in the New 52, but you would not have needed Brightest Day to bring them back in order for them to work in the New 52, because they were already completely different then. Because now they're characters that don't know each other anymore.
And whatever happened to that Hawkman that we...
Yeah, there was this whole thing with Firestorm, who was ticking down. There was some countdown when Firestorm, he was gonna...
the wonderful story that...
Something was gonna happen, and he was gonna, explode, something was gonna happen.
Like the next big bang.
When he hit zero, the next big bang.
And you never saw that?
No, it never paid off.
That's so annoying.
Brightest Day is where they introduced the new Aqualad, who only ever appeared in Brightest Day, never showed up anywhere else after that, and then poof.
What else? There were some other really great cliffhangers.
There was a bunch of stuff they were setting up.
Why did they do New 52?
The Power Girl, Max Lord, Justice League United, not United, but Justice League International. That whole story that there was some loose strings there.
Why did they even do it? Were they just were sales declining and they wanted to give it a shot in the arm?
They were.
There was also the theory that something with Superman's copyright was going to be changing, and they needed to do some kind of update.
Yeah, they were heavily in battles with the Schuster family over the Superman rights, and there were rumors that in order to circumvent, there was a moment where it seemed like they were going to be able to own an aspect of the character, like basically they could own Superman from this point in time to this point in time, like this encapsulates the Schuster Superman, but then all the elements outside of that were elements that DC owned. So they got rid of all those elements is what the theory was. Yeah, and I mean, that they ended up settling, and now all the comics just say, they're printed in any comic Superman appears in now is printed the words, with the permission of the Schuster family.
And Bill Fingers now in all the Batman references.
About dang time.
I agree, but all of a sudden I just started noticing
Bill
Fingers' name keeps popping up on all this stuff.
Yeah, they're finally crediting Finger.
So, were any of the Nolan movies out when New 52 started?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm wondering, the grittiness kind of like... Do you think that was influenced by the Nolan movies? Or was it Dark Knight out? Because I didn't think Batman Begins was that gritty.
Dark Knight was.
Okay, but I did feel like Dark Knight not purposefully, but Dark Knight felt gritty in a way that I wasn't expecting. Batman Begins just felt to me just like a regular-ass Batman movie. And then I felt like Dark Knight...
it was more grounded than they had been up to that point. But
yeah.
I wouldn't call Batman Begins a gritty movie, necessarily.
No, but I would call Dark Knight a gritty movie.
It's still...
the depiction of the Joker... But even that doesn't... Like, that... I would say this Joker we're gonna get next month is gritty. Ledger's Joker, in comparison to the Leto Joker, I would not call him gritty, just more of a...
I'm not really referring to the Joker. I'm more referring to the plot of the movie. Just how the Joker kind of engineered Two-Face, the kind of like, fridging of that woman character to kind of fuel his kind of villainy, and then Batman just taking the fall for it. That was mostly what I was referring to. Because I would agree with you, I do think that Leto's comes across as more gritty, the tattoos and just kind of scream it. But I don't know, I don't know. And just, like, kind of more just like, oh, this is, like, dark, because Batman doesn't really... For me, who only really ever saw Batman in the movies...
I mean, in a lot of ways, Batman Returns is darker than Nolan's movies.
I just, like, what I was thinking, though, is, like, I think for just maybe the casual, like, Batman fan who's only seen the movies, like, going back to Burton's and going into, like, all those silly remakes, silly sequels, I do feel like it was a little kind of shocking to see that Batman was the quote-unquote, villain. Like, he took the fall at the end of The Dark Knight. And I guess that's what I meant when I called it kind of gritty, because I wasn't expecting that. I know that's how the comic went, probably, but I just, like, that was something unexpected, because even...
I don't know. I guess I have to understand the definition of gritty.
I just, like, kind of more... Just,
Well, it was very referencing The Dark Knight Returns and any Frank Miller type of Batman. I mean, they said they borrowed from Year One and from Dark Knight Returns.
I just think of something, like, I guess what I'm talking about is maybe not gritty is the wrong word, but, like, more dark than I thought. Because Batman Begins ended on a track that I kind of liked and expected, where it kind of hinted that he would become a detective. Because, Gordon... built the signal, and then he gave him a case, like there's this guy going around, and then Dark Knight kind of stripped all that away, and it was its own beast, and then it ended on kind of like a darker note, because he kind of had to run off and just shoulder all this blame for what had happened. And so that is, like, I always wondered if that maybe influenced, like, the direction they wanted to go into with the New 52, just like, dark all the time. Like, all dark all the time.
I almost think that that's more of an answer to being the antithesis to Marvel at some times. Like, that's what the identity they wanted was to... For the longest time, DC was... And I hated being around Monty and Tim, because when I was in college or in high school and reading comics, they would be reading Superman. You're reading the only good DC comic is Batman, and everybody else is stupid, and nobody's reading them, and they're all sunny and Boy Scouty, and I'd get made fun of for reading Justice League or Superman or Booster Gold or whatever I was reading, because they were very sunny feeling compared to most Marvel. And then I think, well, then Marvel kind of has made this very optimistic universe in some ways, that I think that it was their answer to be, well, we're going to be different. We're going to be, and maybe not totally conscious, but I think as a thematic universe, they are definitely darker, and I don't like it.
Feels like, it's interesting how those two companies tend to kind of...
Ebb and flow?
Yeah, flow and go in opposite directions. When Marvel's being dark and gritty, DC's being kind of goopy, and then they'll try to, like, do the dark and gritty thing, and then that's when Marvel is like, we're gonna have fun now, and they're like always like kind of steps behind each other. Or something.
What was
like
the storyline where Cap is back, and we had the new... right after the Siege, the storyline across Marvel, right after Siege, Heroes.
The Heroic Age?
Heroic Age, that's it. That was kind of like where I felt like things lightened up in Marvel for a while, at least as an overall theme. I'm sure there was some dark books, but as an overall theme, I thought it was... And that might be when DC really started feeling dark, but that's still pre-52.
Yeah.
I just, I feel like, this kind of, like, dark kind of realism that New 52 was kind of shooting for. Also the cranked up to 11 that we talked about, of just far as this intensity, which had varying degrees of success. I do feel like it obviously influenced their movies to the point where now Jeff Johns has to come on and be like, we're gonna inject hope in our movies. So I feel like this rebirth and the new direction they're promising for these movies are kind of going hand in hand here, because I just think that we all liked Batman versus Superman. There was nothing wrong with it, really. But
I'm really curious to see Ultimate Edition. I want to know what these 30 minutes are going to do.
Yeah, I am also
And you
curious.
said it's not the haters are going to hate, but
I'll probably like it more.
I'm sure I will too.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the Green Lantern extra cut for the movie because it felt. I'm not saying it made it.
It fixed some problems.
It fixed some problems.
It at least addressed them.
But I just feel like, I can, they all said when that movie came out, they were shocked at the response. Like, they were obviously expecting, like, more of, like, maybe mixed to positive, and instead it was mixed to negative, and it kind of killed it after its first week. And, I
think word of mouth hurt it so bad, and...
Well, yeah, word of mouth is still, despite the internet and everything, word of mouth is still the worst thing that can happen. Look what happened to Fantastic Four. I mean, that spread.
Well, as a whole, that movie deserved it.
Well, to be fair, the director made a huge faux pas, but that spread, like the word of mouth from that spread, and that just killed it dead in the water.
But I really think I don't understand the hate that Batman vs. Superman got. I mean, there are problems, but no worse than Civil War's problems. If you want to nitpick at it, sure. But I enjoyed the movie. I didn't.
I felt like it. A friend of ours said it was a pretty good adaptation of like New 52 kind of themes and kind of thematics, and I kind of agreed with that. But I mean, like, I do
want a more optimistic title.
I do. I mean, like, it
but
wasn't.
I didn't hate it.
It wasn't bad. It fit into the universe they were building at the time, because they're obviously going to change it now. But it's like, it wasn't terrible like everyone said. Everyone just wanted it to be a Marvel movie. They wanted it to be the Avengers, and it's like, it's not going to be the fucking Avengers. I'm sorry. That's just not how they built any of the movies. The movies leading into it were most stolen Batman movies. Even that Man of Steel was a little bit darker in some aspects than anything else. So people who go in were expecting one thing and they're going to get another. But I do feel like it's kind of like a good thing that this rebirth thing is happening at the same time. We're like, we're going to put more hope in the movies. So I think that...
Well, and both spearheaded by the same guy.
Yeah, right? That's true.
So Jeff Johns is...
And I trust him. I mean, I
do too.
9 times out of 10, I approve of everything. You could go with a higher ratio than that, but I always feel like his heart is always in the right place. And I don't feel like he's doing something for the gimmick or the buck or whatever. I've always felt like he actually cares about... I mean, I'll always look at Secret Origin Superman as just a love letter to Superman. And
I think it's weird how I think a lot of people blame him for a lot of the dark tendencies that sort of snowballed into what DC has become, because he was the guy who, when he was doing Infinite Crisis, people were losing limbs, and it was like a lot of pretty, like, gratuitously gory, like, just the things that would happen to some characters, like certain character deaths.
Nightwing didn't die, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's a book I'm looking forward to now, too.
So, like, for things like that, and I don't know, maybe he was just going through a phase. Because he also is the guy that I personally hold responsible for ruining my favorite DC character.
That's
right. Who's that?
Bart Allen.
I forgot that he is the one who wrote that
He
Titan.
did.
But it's a really good Titans run. Despite despite that happening, it's a good run.
As soon as that happened, I was like, fuck you, come. I still
what
bought
happened?
all
Did
of
he
them.
die?
Oh, worse.
No.
Oh.
He matured.
Oh, speaking of matured...
They made him boring, and then they had Deathstroke shoot him in the kneecap.
What? Oh, that's right, you told me that.
Yeah.
Speaking of matured, do you think that maybe Captain Marvel will be such a whiny teen? Like, he might go back to being fun?
I hope so.
No.
I hope so. And that's another weird thing. Like, again, like, I'm big, like, I'll read everything that Jeff Johns does, and I think, 9 times out of 10, they're, home run knockouts. And Captain Marvel is another thing that I kind of blame him for, which is weird.
The angsty teen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, although, like, the way he wrote it was really good. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a really well written introduction for him, but I feel like maybe my problem is less with what Johns has done with him and more with how other writers have taken it. Because Johns wrote his origin, his New 52 origin, and he did some stuff in it that I thought was fantastic, where he introduced this whole family of kids that he lives with in this orphanage, and including his actual sister Mary, and then like Freddie Freeman, who is another classic Captain Marvel Jr. The three of them were like the main Marvel family in comics. But then they also introduced a bunch of other kids that he lived with, and I thought they were really interesting, and I liked those elements, and I liked how they played with it. I don't like Billy Batson being this little snot.
It just doesn't seem...
Because my favorite thing about Captain Marvel and about Billy is, I know this is part of, like, kind of what became the DC, or at least the New 52 mentality of, let's be ashamed of what was goofy and try to make it as cool, quote-unquote cool, as possible. So, like, it's not cool to be, like a golly gee whiz, like, I'm a little orphan kid who works at a radio station, I have a talking tiger friend, and all these fun, goofy Silver Age things. Now it has to be like, I'm an orphan, and I am mad at the world because of these things, and now I've been given superpowers, so I'm going to use them to become a jerk.
See, that's what bothers me, and I think that's a good point to touch on, but that's just, like, so cliche. Like, to me, to have, like, an angry orphan, oh my god, the most cliche of things. And I mean, like, there was that animated short with Billy where I felt like they didn't have a talking tiger, but I felt like they touched on the seriousness of his situation, a homeless child living on his own.
And I love that. And have I made you read the comic that's based on?
Yes.
Yes.
You bought it for me.
Yes, good. Good job, Tracy. Because the comic that's based on is fantastic, and the short is very good. And I think you can watch it on Netflix if you're a person listening to me talk right now. And I love that, and that's a book that does what I think they wished they were doing, or what in their mind they wanted to do better than that, which is it doesn't change Billy any. Billy is still just this most wonderful, compassionate, optimistic little boy who, and I think that's what I love about Billy, and I think that's what makes him so great. And I know maybe it feels to some writers that it doesn't make sense, it's anachronistic. Like, how could he be an orphan and still be, like, so positive, golly gee whiz, and they think...
He's a kid.
I know,
Like, you don't get jaded in that kind of life until you're a teen.
Right.
And I think
they did kind of age him up a bit in the New 52, but still.
And they did. That's stupid, though.
It's stupid. Yeah, I like it better when, it's this, 10 or 11 or how, this young boy, 12, however,
Yeah, because even in the comic, like, he deals with some serious things that happen. But I also feel like, you know, the stuff that happens to him, like, Superman takes a lot of responsibility for that. Because he's an adult and he knows how it works.
The best moment in that story is when Superman discovers that Shazam or Captain Marvel is actually a child, and the first thing he says to him is, "Who did this to you?"
Yeah!
And it's incredible, because it's my two favorite, the two best, most compassionate characters in comics meeting each other. And then, like, how does Superman react to that? Of, like, who would do this to a child? And I think that's incredible, because that's Superman's first reaction. You know, whereas for Billy, it's this, you know, it was a literal and figurative godsend.
Yeah.
That he be granted the powers of the wizard Shazam, because that saved him from this life of squalor that he was living. But to a man like Superman, like, who knows the responsibility that being a Man of Steel bears, you know, this weight of the world that he has to carry, and to see that this was thrust upon a child is the most appalling thing to him. And that's what's so great about that. And I think they just missed the point entirely in making him, this, like, super bitter, cynical kid. And it sucked, because I thought there were some good things about the story they were writing, but he only wrote it as an origin, and then no one ever picked up with it from there. It just jumped ahead to, now he's on the Justice League, and he's kind of a doofus. And what I was wanting from that was, like, the only way I'll accept cynical, mean little snot Billy Batson Shazam would be is if this is a story about how he becomes a hero.
Yeah.
How you go from being a kid and having your dumb kid opinions to actually accepting responsibilities and learning compassion. Like, that's a story I would like to read, is, you know, a snot learning how to be compassionate, but
not just a snot who gets superpowers.
Yeah.
Already got that with Superman.
Yeah, there were... What?
No, I mean, New 52.
Oh, yeah.
Not, you know, classic.
Yeah. So there's that. And then, interestingly, I mentioned the, I don't know, he's got it in his pile, but at the end of Rebirth, I'm pronouncing things...
Rebirth?
I'm pronouncing things the way Scott Aukerman would.
This has turned into a comedy bang bang.
Oh, if only. At the end of Rebirth, they have a huge 2-page splash of, like, you know, welcome to the new DC Universe kind of thing, and it's very bright and sunny, and people are actually smiling, and it's all these heroes flying at you. And in the corner, you see not just Shazam and Mary and Freddy, but also other little Shazams of the other kids from his orphanage.
Aww.
And they haven't appeared in any comics yet, but I'm very excited to see them actually do something with that.
They have?
Yes. It's in there. Pick it up.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. in Rebirth. Or is that that big 2-page spread? Oh, okay.
At the end of Rebirth?
Yeah. So I'm hoping that, because that's another character that I hold a lot of affection for.
Yeah, that's Holy Looks movie.
Yeah, it's a shame that they don't change Deadshot to a Will Smith-looking man.
Yeah, that makes me sad.
I know, the problem is...
Samuel Jackson, Nick Fury experience.
Yeah.
Just have all Deadshots look like Will Smith from now on.
It's the problem with the fact that he's been a white guy.
I'm glad they're bringing him back, though, because they introduced him and then really underused.
Simon Baz, Green Lantern, and then the new...
gave him a really cool introduction and never saw
Power Ring. Yeah, that was another...
He was in Justice League America.
Jeff has a history of introducing cool things and setting them up, and then nobody runs with them.
Oh.
And I don't know if it's a thing of, like, if people are afraid, like, oh, maybe Jeff has a plan. They're all...
There they are.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, because there's Billy's there, and then there's Mary and Freddy, but then also all the other kids from the orphanage. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a whole group of little Shazams.
I didn't notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Is Batman smiling?
I also noticed we have Bizarro back here.
He again has a little smirk. It's
oh
not
my god!
It's not a scowl.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's Superboy
all the
and Bumblebee.
beams of light coming out. Yeah, That's the DC.
And what did Red Robin have around his waist? Pouch belt.
Yeah, pouch belt.
Big old pouch belt. I like they have Black Huntress.
Yeah, she's Argentinian, I believe.
Oh. Person of color.
Yeah,
Huntress.
person of color Huntress.
Will she still be around in the new Nightwing?
She's going to be on Birds of Prey.
Oh, that's right. That one? That specific one?
Yeah, that's the only Huntress there is.
Okay.
Well, there was the Earth 2 Huntress, but they are gone. I think Convergence did away with the Earth 2 people. Supposedly, we're getting a Justice Society, and they are also like the Titans.
We still there was still Earth 2 Society. There was the book called Society.
Yes, but it's not. Nothing's come out yet about that.
But there was after Convergence.
Oh yes, yeah. Convergence didn't do away with it, but it all
ended a lot.
But it seemed like they're going to do a similar thing. Nothing's been announced yet or confirmed, but they're going to do a similar thing with the Justice Society, where they too have been forgotten in the way that Wally has.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really look at this.
Oh, I pored over that 2-page spread for a long time when I got that issue, just to I'm just analyzing all the nooks and crannies.
Oh, also, did you get the symbolism of them killing Trinity? Not Trinity.
Oh,
Pandora.
Pandora, yes. Yeah, the character that started the New 52 gets killed in Rebirth. So,
I did find that kind of a...
Yeah. Well, and also, that was another just weird dangling plot thread that, so I just...
That was never...
But they kind of... I liked that they brought it back. It made me happy to see that they did bring Pandora back for this issue, because that was something... she was such an enigma when New 52 started, and it was such a big thing that they actually hid her in each of the 52 new issues of the New 52
Seriously?
that came out. Yep, in each #1 issue, she's hidden in a panel somewhere.
She was probably some big story they had that...
Yeah, and they gave her own series for a while, but it barely addressed it. But she was part of the whole other thing. Her and the Phantom Stranger... And who was the
Pariah?
Third one?
Was it Pariah?
They were the Trinity of Sin, is what they called them.
I can see his face. Question. Wasn't it?
No, Phantom Stranger was Question 1.
Who was it? Remember the three of them that were... One became the Question, one became Phantom Stranger, one became...
Okay, yeah, that's right. That did happen, didn't it?
I like the way you said that.
Well, it was weird because
one of them was Cain from the Bible.
Why?
And he had his no, wait, sorry, not Cain. He was Judas from the Bible, because he had his 30 pieces of silver that he got for betraying young Mr. Christ.
Young Mr. Christ. I picture like a young and up-and-coming college Christ.
Yeah.
I picture a very Joe average.
No legs or arms?
Yeah, no legs or arms.
And speaking like Heavens to Murgatroyd.
Father, why have you forsaken me?
Just really into the soup.
That's so wrong and hilarious.
Forgive them, they know not what they do.
I don't have time for this. I'm gonna betray you, Jesus.
This is the portion of the podcast where it's just
us three that are gonna laugh at this, and nobody's
gonna
get
to things that have watched the Robin Riley action figure theater.
Yeah, but that's all of my thoughts on Rebirth. I'm excited to see more.
And that's, I think, the best thing I can say about it.
Yeah,
I'm excited for more.
In a weird.
I read
sorry.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why. I don't know why, but a couple years ago, I just decided I want to read a bunch of New 52.
Mm-hmm.
And I checked out a bunch of volume 1s from the library. The only one that really caught my interest was Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just hands down, I think Court of Owls is just flawless. And I read Aquaman, I read Wonder Woman, I read Gail Simone's Batgirl. I read a handful, and, like, none of them were bad, but, like, I just thought they were okay, but none of them really, like, kindled, like, an interest to just keep going. And then the saddest part is that when I would, like, go to people I knew who knew a lot about it, like you, like, you would just tell me things, and I'm just like, oh, God, that sounds dumb. Or then I'd start picking up, like, recent issues, I'm like, oh, this is dumb. And so it fizzled out quick. Like, I think I stuck with Batman the longest, but then, like I said at the top of the show, I mean, like, that was 211 for me, even. And
I still think that's ridiculous. And you should read the rest of it.
I know. Going back to that point, though, what was Snyder writing pre-52? He was writing detective, and they were very grounded, criminal, murder, mystery-type stories that were just as interesting. But I don't feel like the threat level was 11. I felt like it was like a really creepy 2.
Can I just use that? A really creepy 2?
Really creepy 2.
Well, I didn't like the...
But also it wasn't the real Batman at the time.
True. So I just like...
That's true.
But when Tracy...
Sorry, Dick.
Oh, you stupid Dick. So, but when Tracy told me the Destiny...
I love you, Richard.
Aww.
Richard Tracy.
When Tracy told me in Destiny the plot of Rebirth, I was like, can I borrow it? And I read it, and even though, like I said, I wasn't familiar, I'm like, this is really good. And then I started just kind of borrowing a bunch of her issues. I'm like, this is all great. Like, I bought Green Arrow and stuff, and I'm just like, and that's like you said, I think that's the best part, is like, unlike New 52, like, this actually has me invested and, like, interested in what they're doing, like, all their new ideas and stuff, and just, like, not even just like, oh, we're writing the core characters right now, but, like, some of their newer stuff, I'm like, oh, I want to read this and this and this, and so I think that's cool.
Yeah, I would say so many, when New 52 started, I felt like so many of those books, it was less like, this is fun, I'm enjoying this, and more like, what are they doing, where are they going with this, and for the reasons why I stuck around. And I don't feel like, with Rebirth, I feel like the ones I'm enjoying are because, like, I'm like, this is fun, I'm enjoying this, I want more of this, and not out of, like, a puzzle piece sort of thing. Even though they introduce a really cool puzzle with the Watchmen thing, there's only 2 books that are really even kind of touching on that, and it's not going to be the main.
I do feel it's going to be the overall theme of the universe for a while, though.
Yeah. Just that's working.
And I think that's when DC's at its strongest.
Oh, totally, yeah. Because
right after 52, that was a theme. Right after Infinite Crisis, that kind of felt that theme. You know, that when DC kind of comes off something and really... Because I don't feel like the end of 52 was a theme so much. It was just, okay, everything's new. But I think that's when DC is the strongest, is when they cling on to something that's... Like, there's an underlying story right after Identity Crisis. And that really affected the direction of the universe.
Yeah, well, because it's something that affects all of the books. And so, even the ones that aren't tackling it head on, you know that it's lingering in the background there. Whereas, like, with New 52, when that started, like we mentioned, there were so many books that felt separate from each other. Either because they were legitimately separated by 5 years of time, or just
confusion,
or just the feelings,
the
feelings of inconsistency. Where the Superman in Action Comics doesn't feel like the Superman he is 5 years later in Superman, or why does Hal Jordan in Green Lantern feel different than Hal Jordan in Justice League, even though they're written by the same guy?
The same writer.
Yeah, things like that were weird. Where, like, you're Jeff Johns and you're writing both books, but, like, this Hal feels like Hal Jordan and this Hal is some idiot.
I feel like I definitely feel like I came for the Watchmen. I stayed for the characters. Like, they were able to draw me in enough where I'm like, ooh, these characters are interesting, or I like what they're doing with Wonder Woman. Like I said, I didn't know any of those Titans, and I'm like, oh, but look at them remembering and hugging. And I'm just like, oh.
That's a good testament. If your interest is piqued because of this Watchmen mystery, and you're not turned off by the fact that none of these books are actually dealing with the Watchmen mystery, but they're still engaging to you. So you're not disappointed that you pick up Green Arrow and, it has nothing, there's nothing to do with the Dr. Manhattan or Ozymandias, or even just the subplot that at least that Flash and Titans have of, I remember a thing that that was erased from me before. None of that's there overtly. I mean, it is like Ollie and Dinah being together for the first time, even though it's a classic relationship. That's not really a part of it. It's just that they're just written so.
Do you think Wonder Woman's going to mourn Superman? Because they were a couple when they died.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that there'll be any kind of. I mean, there's been subtle addressing, but I don't think there was.
It was already kind of like she dealt with it head on as he was dying, like being engagement there. Like she was mad at him that he wasn't trying to find a cure, and like she and Batman.
Right. Yeah, you can't.
I feel like they tackled that pretty head on. I think what'll be interesting as far as with that
is the new Superman and her around.
Yeah, like how Batman and Wonder Woman are going to embrace this Superman that isn't theirs.
Which it looks like they're going head on to it.
Yeah, they have them show up in Superman at the end to be like, hey, we want to talk about your kid. We don't trust, we don't know you. We know you're Superman, you look like our Superman, but you're not him. And we don't know what you got going on here, or what your kid can do.
I don't like your face.
I don't like your face. So that's interesting, and the fact, and I think that'll be addressed more head on in Justice League, because they're all going to be on a team together, even though everybody else on that team. I don't know how he writes. I don't read his stuff.
The Justice League America was okay. Okay.
So that'll be interesting. But just overall, I'm very, very happy. And there's books that I wasn't planning on buying that I'm buying now out of enjoyment.
And even satellite books that, like, okay, I really like Detective Comics and the direction that the Bat books feel like they're going in. Mm-hmm. That I wasn't, I'm a Nightwing fan, but I've been kind of disenfranchised with Nightwing. Yeah. That I wasn't really planning on getting the new Nightwing. Now I'm like, okay, I'm getting the new Nightwing.
I think in a lot of the same way, maybe Nightwing hasn't felt to you like the character you fell in love with in the same way that Green Arrow hasn't felt to me. Like
exactly, and it's not just because he became Grayson. It was even before he lost the costume.
Oh I know. You didn't stick with Nightwing
Red
very much at all. Yeah, Nightwing Red.
I read that one too. Mm-hmm. I didn't like that one.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't bad. It just didn't feel like Dick Grayson to me.
Yeah, that's all that is. Yeah,
he wasn't cute enough too. I thought he looked hideous in that red Nightwing outfit.
Oh yeah.
I actually thought the costume was cool, but
I don't know.
Blue is more. I think it's got to be blue.
Mm-hmm. And also his hair looked terrible. Like at least Grayson made him look.
I think it's. It's a character thing where red seems sinister.
Oh, yeah. It does, very much,
and blue seems more humble. And humble's not a character, a trait I would use for Dick Grayson. Noble. That would be better.
Just more easy on the eyes.
Yeah.
Just like how he should have been.
But I love the Justice League. Yeah, here, you should read them both.
Alright.
I love the Justice League that...
Yeah, if you liked Titans, you should read this
is a nice... Okay. If you're a Dick Grayson fan, that is a nice tribute to Dick Grayson.
Writer, and it's Dick Grayson's first time meeting the Justice League.
Oh, look at your baby.
And I love his camaraderie with Cyborg in there. That was,
which is a nice touch considering
that doesn't exist anymore.
Their Titanhood got erased.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Titanhood.
Yeah.
When a man reaches Titanhood.
So
he goes to Dr. McStuffins and
get some soup.
I'm very encouraged.
It's gonna be our new running gag from now on.
Good. I'm glad I could contribute that.
I'm very encouraged too.
Yeah, it's weird because I felt like I stuck with a lot of DC books that you didn't, even though you're way more the DC guy.
It really hurt my feeling. It hurt my feeling, but it did.
Nothing bummed me out more about the New 52 than how disenfranchised it made you. Because
I'm a lifetime fan of DC, and all of a sudden I just felt like I was kind of robbed of what made DC to me. And it's funny, one book, and all of a sudden I feel like, crap, now I gotta collect all this crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always made me feel really bad, because there were a bunch that I was reading that you weren't, and I'm like, these are okay. But it was always just soured by the fact of, like, well, but Rob doesn't, this isn't his stuff. And it was just,
And out of that stack, I think the weakest ones were Aquaman, and I wouldn't say they were weak. I mean, the weakest, but...
Yeah, comparatively.
They were good. I just don't think I would collect Aquaman, but they were very good. Hard on those freaking home runs.
Yeah, so A+.
Oh, I lended you those Aquamans?
Yeah, they're upstairs.
Okay.
2 thumbs up.
Good job, DC.
Really.
I've been hard on you these past few years, but I approve of...
And I'm willing to try a few things that I wasn't comfortable trying now, so...
Yeah.
But we went 15 minutes on the second one?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Monty would be unproud. Is that a word?
He'd be unproud.
Unproud. Anyway, thanks, DC.
Thank you. Now, make Titans good.
Yes.
Teen Titans.